Ready when you are, Chair LeBret.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm calling to order the Historic Preservation Commission meeting tonight for Thursday, September 12th, 2024. Thank you very much. Get us started with a Pledge of Allegiance. And Commissioner Erickson, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, we could have a roll call.
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Ward.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Lemaster.
Here.
Mashlin.
Here.
Benoit.
Here.
And Chair LeBret.
Here.
Okay, you have a full house.
Thank you very much. Happy to note that we have a full commission tonight. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. All right. Do we have any citizen comments on any subject? Can you grab the comment sheet, please?
Doesn't look like it, but we're going to retrieve the citizen comment sheet. And nobody is signed in for tonight.
All right.
So we're good.
Thank you very much. We need to proceed with the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. You guys could take a look at the agenda.
I so move.
We
Need a second?
Need to vote.
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda. Erickson.
Approved.
Walker.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Mashlin.
Yes.
Benoit.
Yes.
Lemaster.
Yes.
And Chair LeBret.
Yes.
Okay, your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and approved on the consent agenda was the April 11th, 2024 Historic Preservation Commission meeting minutes.
Thank you very much for that. We have no proclamations and awards on this particular evening. Is there a city administration report?
I would like to report one thing from our last meeting. The grant station is up and running at the library since June 1st. Please use that if you can. If you have any questions, please ask the library staff. They've all been trained for the grant station in the library.
I understand that that's been quite successful.
Very successful.
Very good.
A lot of use.
Very, very good.
That's the one thing I would like to report, and that's it.
All right.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Chair report, I'd like to report that we had a wonderful meeting previous to this. It was a meeting in a box, if you will, with information provided to us from the State Historic Preservation Office, where we had a discussion of historic preservation, the importance thereof, and thoughts on that. I encourage anybody that gets a chance to look at that recording and so on and see what we discussed. You might find it quite interesting, very productive, and thank you very much, Ms. Stacy, for helping facilitate that session. It was quite outstanding. Other than that, nothing big and new to report. Just thank you everyone for being here tonight. Let's go into any other reports and announcements. Report on Historic Preservation Facebook page.
Okay, in the package you'll see the information talking about the Facebook page from April through July. Our page visits were basically about the same. Reach was up over 300%. We gained 127 new followers, which is good. So right now we have a total of 1,006 followers. Our interactions with our posts were up 13%, so that's good. Shows people are not just looking, but they're taking time to interact and comment. Our followers are pretty much remaining pretty consistently the same. Generally, we have more women than men, and we have all age ranges, but generally 25 years or older. Most are from Seward and Anchorage. And our top post was about the Mountain Marathon race, which seems to be pretty consistent every summer. People are on vacation, they're here for the race, and that post is very popular. I listed pretty much in the packet the posts basically for the next year or so. There's a few things that will need to be filled in, like discussions about events, details, and things like that. But if anyone sees anything that they think should be added, let me know.
All right.
I'm just looking at top countries. Bangladesh, France, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Thailand,
Looks like people check in from different places, not a lot of them,
but still,
who's looking?
yeah,
Or it's our
People
residents
wanna
on
check out.
vacation someplace.
could be, but still, I'm kind of impressed by that, actually.
Pretty cool. Awesome stuff. Do we have any other presentations anyone has for tonight? All right. I will only add a little bit of something from earlier that I meant to mention. Just talking about, a little bit about the powers and duties of our commission. And proud of the fact is, Vice Chair Ward was talking about earlier, in our earlier meeting, if you watch that, just about the role that the commission has played and really kind of looking at our responsibilities and kind of what we've accomplished over the last several years. I'm very proud of what we've done here as a group. But some of our responsibilities, working with our historic preservation plan, where we identify, protect, and interpret our significant resources. That's kind of the exercise that we did earlier tonight as well, too. And we work, just as you know, in conjunction with the State Historic Preservation Office and their preservation plan. So we're trying to produce information that's compatible and that educates. And that's what we're trying to do as a commission, is not to regulate, but to educate. And so we hope that that comes out in our meetings as well, too. We survey and inventory historic, architectural, and archaeological resources within the community. So you'll hear us in our various meetings. Please join us anytime you hear about the things that we hear are important out in the community and that we bring forth. We review and comment the State Historic Preservation Officer on National Register nominations. So you'll hear a call later tonight on, not for National Register, but also just for local recognition and projects that are supporting preservation. And then also, if you do ever want to bring to the commission something that you think should be on the historic preservation register, it's something you'd like us to work on, that's certainly something you could do. And then per our meeting we had earlier tonight, acting in an advisory role to other officials, in this case the SHPOs, the State Historic Preservation Office, and local government regarding identification, protection of local historic and archaeological resources. And again, education, education, education. We're not a regulation, we're education. But I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished together as a group. So, thank you very much. Continuing on, we already approved the minutes of the last meeting. We have no unfinished business. And under new business, no resolutions in this particular meeting. I would like to discuss, if we could, Mr. Peck, our Historic Preservation Award nomination deadlines. I think that you wanted to talk a little bit about that as well, too. Thank you very much.
I requested this item be on the agenda for tonight. I just wanted to kind of go over what happened earlier this spring with the deadline, I think March 31st, and we didn't receive any nominations. And then we extended the deadline and still didn't receive any. And I was just wanting to know if we could do away with the deadline completely and have it just be a open year-round type of an award, or was there a particular reason that it had to be done in the spring, maybe to tie in with like May being like Historic Preservation Month?
I think we had some kind of unfinished discussion about that in a previous meeting, and I'd really like to hear everybody else's opinion on that. But again, I think that the idea is to have community involvement, and if there shouldn't be really any barriers to bring something forth 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is into the year for discussion. We just would have to stick by some deadlines and so on, which revolve around city council meetings for when we're putting a preservation nomination forth. So to give you a specific example, we talked earlier today, Ms. Stacy and I, about for the future meetings, if there was a nomination received, we would need that nomination by October 2nd in order to make the October 14th city council deadline, and that would be for the next one. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So yes, definitely year-round, and maybe a reminder if we keep this as an ongoing, my suggestion, and I'd like to hear from everybody, is to keep this as an ongoing item on our month, or our quarterly, or whenever they are meetings, to discuss any nominations that have come forth. And then I would encourage, I would think, maybe a monthly reminder or a periodic reminder from the city clerk's office to maybe remind people about those nominations. The floor is open if you guys would like to discuss that.
Usually we put on the Facebook page, one or two, I can't remember, reminders or requests for nominations, but if we wanted to open up the round, we could do like a quarterly post, putting a word out there, and maybe that would be helpful, because sometimes if the post comes out and it's like people are busy and they just don't have time to do it, but if they have a reminder at another time of year, maybe we would get a little bit more.
So I was thinking, people tend to be busier in the summer, whether it's working on flowers or working in the parks or the cemeteries, and maybe that work kind of gets forgotten by the time the next year rolls around in the spring, and maybe they're not getting recognized when they could be nominated if the process was open year-round.
I was just going to say, I think part of the reason it had the deadlines was because it was presented during National Historic Preservation Month. I think that was the only, that was the time when it was presented to the recipient. But I have no problem opening up year-round. You could still present it during National Historic Preservation Month, even if, it happened, it's the next year round. So that was the only thing I was just kind of looking through the calendar to see if there was any, and that was the reason it was scheduled to the first part of the year.
I have a question. Is there only one recipient per year?
Not necessarily. I think we've had more than
We've
one.
had multiple recipients. When we were limiting it to even just the one time period, we've had multiple recipients.
Yeah.
It really is only limited by the value of what's presented, and there's been times where we've looked at it and said, wow, yeah, both of those or three of those, whatever it is that are good. So, no, there's no limitation, I don't believe.
So we could collect throughout the year
Yep.
a number of nominations and then make our decision prior to
To the
History
yeah.
Month, Historic Preservation Month.
Right. Based on what we have. And it needs to be
Our
advertised.
deadline would then still stay the same. We'd have to make our decision in time for that
Right.
particular.
Because it's presented by city council, so.
Yeah, I was just looking at like the Facebook post that goes out about this, does not specify a deadline. It just says get your nominations in now, so we could reuse the same one and put it out there numerous times. The only thing, it directs people to a document online to fill in. So if there is a deadline listed on that, that would have to be updated.
Anyone else? So what are we settling on? Nominations can come at any time?
At any time.
I move that we open nominations year-round and set our own deadline for selecting among the collected nominations in time to present it during Historic Preservation.
Which I believe is May.
Is that agreeable?
Would someone like,
Further
excuse me,
discussion?
would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
And just for my records here, so the motion was to keep the nominations open year-round, and then what was the second part?
And then make our selection in time,
Like at the April meeting.
The April
Yeah.
meeting.
in time for
And that gets it ready for May, which is National Historic Month, I think,
presenting.
something like that.
during-
So that would need to be on that April meeting.
So it's open year-round, but the selection and the presentation dates are going to be the same, like
And
with the April HP meeting
Right.
and then the May council meeting.
Yeah.
that's right. And if the city if the city webpage, historic webpage could reflect that as well, and if we could also post it on, once we've agreed, on our Facebook as well, to let folks know that it is available on a continuous basis and call their attention to it, that'd be wonderful, as well as making the applications available, whether it's at these meetings, because you might have some folks that come in attendance that might want to take one with them.
I think,
Great, too.
I think it's called rolling application.
There you
Is that
go.
how it goes? Interesting.
So we have a deadline in process.
Okay. Are we ready for a roll call vote on this motion?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, voting on the nominations year-round, and then the selections to be made in April. The Master,
Yes.
Erickson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Benoit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Mashlin,
Yes.
and Chair LeBranc.
Yes.
Okay, that motion has been passed.
Clerk Beck, thank you for that, for bringing that up and moving that
Cleaning
forward.
that up.
Appreciate it very much. Hoban Park updates. I think Commissioner Benoit, you might be up for a couple of things here.
Yeah, just checked it out last month, and the bench with the plaque, memorial plaque for Lee Plesky is over there near the fountain. Looks great. One little sad piece of news is the lilac that we planted that was doing good for a couple of years was laying on the ground dead. And I think what happened was last year, I think when they were weed whacking, it got nicked because Cheryl C. Sark, previous chair, said that she noticed that. She went and put kind of wrapped the stem to try to save it, but I found it lying on the ground. I knew it was that because there was the piece of wrapping on it. So at this point, if we want lilacs there, I think maybe we should consider just buying some and planting them. If we do want to try to continue doing it with historic stock that we got at the Lane House, the small ones, the shoots, I've been trying for years now to try to get those to take root, and it's just not working. The one that we did have that lasted for a while, it's because it was a bigger plant that I actually dug up. If we could find another bigger one, maybe even bigger than that, it would be our best option, or buy something. So that is all I have in Hoban Park.
All right.
You guys, are you interested in buying some lilacs and planting them?
We don't have much of a budget, I don't
We have
think.
some budget, though, don't
If
we?
we have some budget, I would be, depending on our budget.
I'll direct that question to Allison.
We do have money in the budget. I could approach the accounting department and give you a report back, an exact number. I do not have the number on top of my head, but I believe it's a rolling budget, so it just kind of
Moves.
moves with every year.
And
What I'd suggest is that we, maybe buy 5. The one that was growing for a while was over in that one corner where the cement was, and maybe you could have 2 over there, 1 on each side. And then we had done all that work when we took out those non-native species and dug all that stuff up in preparation for putting some lilacs, which I think we put a few, but they died.
They
And
got
if we
run
got
over.
some bigger ones, I think maybe getting like 3 established over there would be good.
And I think I've actually lost lilacs to my lawn people because they weed whack right around under there and they gird it. So, I mean, I lost some pretty good sized ones because, so if we do put lilacs in, we probably need to put something around them.
We need protective barriers
Yeah,
as part of the budget.
just, because even the lawn people that I have here, I have a lilac out front, and I told them not to come anywhere near it, same thing. So it could be just, if you're a lawn person, and you're just zipping along, you can kill them by just girding the entire trunk.
Isn't it the responsibility of parks and recreation to maintain?
Well, they are maintaining it,
Yeah.
but we've been trying to kind of restore it more back
To
where it
original
used
look.
to be, and planting the lilacs was part
Have
of
we
that.
been coordinating with them? Do they
Yes.
know we've been doing that?
Yes, they know that we've been doing that. I'm not sure if
Several
they
years.
know that the lilac died and got weed.
Right. I just think we need to take stronger measures, because I know they're easy to kill if the lawn people aren't aware. They just go in, they do their job. I've had to tell people that I'm paying not to kill my trees.
And I'm happy to coordinate with
Yeah.
Melanie about that, because I'm working with her on other things.
She's real good.
And so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I suggest that we get 5, and we get.
Make good size ones and get some good size ones.
That doesn't make it so that we can never try to get a historic lilac. I can check at the Blaine House, and if we could find a good size one we could dig up, we can always try to get one of
Plunder.
those down there in the future.
My request would be that if you would check into the budget for lilacs itself, but the overall budget, we might want to incorporate some fencing or something. And I would say even the most simplest of signage, it's a little something saying what it is, so that folks would recognize that it's there.
Yeah, and I can gather up a quote and,
Mary Ann did a lot of research, so we were putting them back in their original spot as best we could. But
Well said. Thank you. Also, the Stucco Johnson home site sign.
Okay, so with that, over across from Rotary Park, and there is a sign that's already in existence that talks about the Stucco Johnson home site that used to be on the top of the hill, the one that slid down the hill and moved it, and they
the stairs are still there.
uprighted it and drug it over with horses over, which is now the sweat in the house, and that whole story. So that sign that's there now was originally created by Carol Griswold, and she worked with the city to commemorate that site. But it's old, and it's kind of out of date, and it's had some damage and things like that. So it was on our list of new signs that we wanted to, it's on the historic walking tour on the map. And so we wanted to replace that sign with another one that looked similar to all the rest that we have done. And we didn't get the grant, but the city was like, well, we really want to put a sign in there, so they said that they would pay for it. So since that time, I've done some research at the museum and worked with Colleen, and there's a new photo that they got that actually showed the original house. And
Up on the hill?
That somehow
Cool.
magically came in, and it's like, okay, that needs to be on the sign. And so, and Colleen and I worked on just looking for any kind of additional information we could find on Stucco Johnson. And that came up with something that I worked with Carol to, collaborate with her too, to make sure she, is okay with this. It was originally her sign. So I have got the draft done. I'm also working on signs for Rotary Park, which will be on the walking tour as well. And so the plan is to have all the signs submitted at the same time to the sign designer, have them all worked on together so they can be shipped together to save money rather than just doing the city one all by itself, because it costs a lot of money to ship those signs. So that is the plan. We have made progress on that, and probably by next May, all the signs will be done and shipped in here and ready to put out there.
Great.
So that's what's happening with that.
Thank you very much. Discussion on St. Peter's Episcopal Church. Both the booklet on Jen Van Empel, and then I believe that Commissioner Maslin will give us some preservation proposal updates as well too.
Yeah, so basically, John Capra has offered to create a book on Jan Van Empel and his painting in St. Peter's, which is basically taking an excerpt out of a book he already has. What's it called? Spaces Between.
Spaces between. Mm-hmm.
And so he has approached Todd and myself about saying, hey, be willing to do that, and that could help raise money for St. Peter's and to celebrate this centennial of the painting. And so a committee was formed, which is Doug and Todd and myself and Valerie, to kind of work on this idea, thinking that this book would be also a helpful thing to have for potential other grant opportunities to work on the church in the future. So we've had one meeting to discuss it, and Doug and I have gotten together to discuss. I volunteered to be the editor and to work on the cover. And then Todd is the one who's kind of like in charge of all the things, and so let him tell you all the rest.
Well, that's about as far as we've gotten so far. Valerie Rosa is the other half of our congregation, is amenable to expending our own resources for the printing so that we can get it out in time once it's completed for the centennial, which is next year, which starts in January, which is soon. So that's as far as we are on that.
All right. Thank you for that update. And information items and reports. We just have.
We have preservation
Oh.
proposal update.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
same thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just wondering.
The preservation.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Project has to begin, of course, with a full and comprehensive assessment of the structure itself. So we've been working with SHPO, and last June, several of their staff were in town for other reasons, and we invited them for a walkthrough, and they are going to, or have asked the National Park Service to provide technical assistance in creating CAD drawings
Great.
of what may potentially be a rehabilitation of our undercroft, which is a particular historic treatment, separate from preservation, which is going to be focused on the outside of the structures. We intend to include the rectory in everything that we are going to be doing, which is involving coordinating with residents of the current residents of the rectory. So working out exact scheduling as far as moving beyond where we're at now is going to be a challenge. Nonetheless, we do have the National Park Service now on board, as well as SHPO having placed boots on the ground, as it were. So
Moving slowly, but moving.
we've started.
Moving, starting.
Good, because
That's exciting. I would like to hear continued updates, so we keep that as an agenda item on future meetings. That would be really great. That way we can get ongoing updates on that project.
Be happy to.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, that'd be,
Anything else?
I think this group is really behind that 100%.
Yep, love to hear about that. Thank you very much. That again speaks to some of our powers and duties of protecting local structures and so on, and just making recommendations and all that. So it's very much within what we do.
I just wanted to interject real quickly. When we had that open house, I can't tell you how many cruise ship passengers came by.
Oh, yeah.
It was just unbelievable. I was sitting out on the front because I was taking some phone calls from the UK, but they said, "Do you mind if we go in?" I was like, "No, it's open." So it was really an attractive, I hope we can maybe do that again this spring, but it got a lot of cruise ship passengers. I was really surprised that had been walking around downtown and saw the church was open.
We, on a side note, we have decided to resume weekly worship services at St. Peter's.
Wonderful. When will that start?
It has already started. We are offering Friday evening prayers at 5:30 every week to appeal to the tourist crowd for the most part. Our first service drew 4 tourists from the cruise ship
Yeah.
visiting from Hawaii. And we will resume Sunday service this Sunday, but moving to 9 a.m.
Wonderful.
So
I walked down there.
essentially, we'll be doing an open house every Friday.
Thank you for that update.
Oh, good.
That's great.
And one other update, I noticed that the little house that's on the walking tour where Jan Van Empel stayed when he was painting, with his painting in the church, is up for sale. So I'm hoping that whoever buys it cares about historic preservation, because it is for sale.
The little brown house on the corner?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So, informational items, a reminder meetings, we have our regular meeting and work session is on Thursday, November 14th. Does that still work for everybody? I believe that works for me. I'll give everybody just a minute, because this will be a great time to discuss that if there's any concerns there. All right, then that shall stand as it is. All right, and then our HPC priorities and meeting schedule with our wonderful museum curator, Ms. Stacy, like to talk about that a bit?
Yes, so I am going to be including the priorities and meeting schedule in each agenda packet because I do add on to it after every meeting. I include our results, I include our priorities, all for the sole purpose of making our lives a little bit easier when it comes to the annual report. If you see any adjustments needed or terrible spelling mistakes, please let me know. But if you would like to include anything, especially for upcoming meetings, that's another thing to please notify, and then I will include it in this worksheet that I have created that is nicely color coordinated.
Thank you, and I have to note that Vice Chair Ward was the genesis of
Yes,
that.
she
It
was.
took us a while to get it going, and once we got it going,
I'm
it's
so
just been,
happy.
it's been wonderful for meeting planning. I'll tell you that,
I'm so happy.
Miss Stacy and I had a little pre-meeting to this meeting to kind of plan the meeting, but we just went right off
Right.
of that.
Right
and
off
then
this, yeah.
As it stood, as I was planning our next pre-meeting to the meeting, you had already been able to take all that information based on what we talked about and been able to really put the packet together. So
Yay,
that's
I'm
kind of
so
the idea.
pleased.
So thank you for that very much. So, with you. Other items, the Seward Local Register plaque updates I still do not have done. I will have those here by the November 14th meeting or before then for us to let folks know about those and or deliver those. So those will be done. The city admin is to begin working on the 2024 HPC report. We believe that to be, we think at this point that will be delivered when? We're not sure yet
Well,
for city council
we definitely need to have our last meeting
in November.
in November. And that's why I put a request, because I know, like Todd said, January is coming up very soon. So I would like to keep it all together before everyone starts going on vacations and traveling. Any material that you would like me to include in the annual report, I wrote October 2nd, but please, that's flexible during the month of October. Like if you really would love to have a great paragraph, I'm just using the Facebook page as an example because it's great stats. If you would like to summarize that and include that in the annual report, please send that over to me in the month of October. And then once we have the November meeting, that's when December I will put it all together, have commissioners review it, and then since I'm still in my first year, I don't know what dates you have presented in the past to city council for the annual report. That's kind of, I think it's really quite on our schedule.
I think at the annual report in the past, it depends on, I think, what city council's wish is, but they had done something where they had all the committees report at one time. So we sat in this room and we sent the report, but we all reported on it.
We all had
went
30
one after
minutes.
another, we each had 30 minutes. I would not be surprised if you could find out for us, that'd be wonderful. That's what we would do. Again, it worked, it was pretty cool because we got a chance to hear the other commission's reports as well too. So I'm not sure what the status is
Pat
of that.
Cab,
Okay. I'll just make sure I
P&Z.
just want to be prepared for it, is all.
Yeah.
I like to be.
So and we have an existing format I could send you from the past as well too. What were you
Great.
saying?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay.
Everybody at once.
That was pretty interesting.
Wonderful. But yeah, that's all I request because I know I will be in and out for the next few months with vacations and conferences.
I can send you the format that we used before, what we turned in,
I love that.
and then we can look at that.
Love it.
Change thing.
All right. Awesome. I think we worked on that together.
Yeah, we did, actually.
Yeah. Now that I
I've
think
worked on
about
a
it.
few of those,
All right, so
so I'm happy
awesome.
to continue to do that.
Thank you. Are there any other citizen comments? There's no sign-ins that I'm aware of or anything else on the web?
Nope, nothing else.
All right. Then I would look for commission and administration comments. And starting over with our clerk. And
Well, thanks everybody for a great meeting.
Yeah.
it's great to have representation from city manager's office as well too. Welcome. Do you have any other comments?
No
from us?
comments, but glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Commissioner Erickson.
Thank you all for your time. And thanks for everybody to be here. So I appreciate that. Thanks for a very robust conversation.
Commissioner Walker.
Likewise.
Vice Chair Ward.
I'm so happy you're using that form.
Our organizational skills really go well together.
Thank
They're
you,
quite
thank
alike.
you, thank you.
No
And
worries.
thanks for everybody. It's just lovely to have a full commission. It really is. And looking forward to working with everybody.
Commissioner Renoir.
I really enjoyed the workshop. I felt like it gave me a new sense of appreciation for historic preservation of just some things I had never thought about before, and it was really wonderful to have the discussion with all of us and get some new insights, and it makes me happy to think that this information is going to go and help inspire what the state of Alaska is going to do with historic preservation. So thanks for making that a possibility for us.
All right. Commissioner Master.
The workshop was good. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Master.
Apologies for being late to the workshop. Community Choir of Seward's first gathering for the season began tonight, and I had to get the music, at least, so thank you for your indulgence.
We expect you to sing next meeting. Sing.
A concert.
Yeah, I'll put that in the agenda, just letting you know.
Ms. Stacy.
No comments for me.
I want to say what a great meeting, very efficient. Thank you with your help. I want to say that also in my few years that I've been on this, I've never seen this level of collaboration and cooperation from all of us, not just from each commissioner here with our full commission, but also from administration. It feels like we're all pulling in the same direction. You guys inspire me and tell you actually fuel my spirit. Like I got to tell you, it really makes, it feels good. And it feels like we're all pulling in the right direction, in the same direction, so I appreciate that. Your commitment to time, talent, and your dedication, I really appreciate everybody. It's an invigorating meeting. Thank you, everyone. That's all I have.
All right.
All right, shall we call the meeting at 7:50 p.m.? Call the meeting to a close?
Okay,
All
done
right.
deal.